On Friday, the pressure group, the pro-life pressure group, Abort67, set up outside of Basvik, and they set up pictures of aborted fetuses, and they all stood around and had conversations with anybody who wanted to have one about abortion politics and stuff like that. It was really interesting. I've never been to one before, and I'm in quite a liberal bubble socially, so I've never really had a conversation with somebody who's pro-life before. It was pretty good. I mean, I enjoyed it. It was a decent conversation. I spoke to two people properly, probably two of the youngest people there, one guy and one girl. I'm still adamantly pro-choice. The biggest controversy, I think, I don't know whether people would agree with me, but I think the biggest problem most people had was with the shock tactics they used, so like the gore imagery of the aborted fetuses and stuff like that. But when I asked them about it, as you'll see in the video, they said that, people won't stop and have a conversation with us unless we do this. We can't have meaningful conversation about that. In response to that, I asked whether they'd actually applied to talk at Basvik or not. Whether they'd actually applied to sit down, have an official, time schedule, and have questions asked, have a meaningful discussion that wasn't in the heated protest environment. The guy I asked that to said that to his knowledge they hadn't asked Basvik whether they were allowed to come in, which is silly because they should. But yeah, no, so I emailed them the other day on Friday. Asking whether they had, and I haven't got a response yet. But yeah, one thing that didn't sit right with me was, and I don't know whether this was just a coincidence or not, but the maintenance people at Basvik, or the tech people, they came out and decided that this was the best time possible to trim all the hedges. So most of the discussions we had were quite loud and therefore quite inarticulate, which I found was quite frustrating, really, because they're obviously very passionate about this cause, and it's I want to hear them talk. But yeah, I guess the counter argument to that would be, apply to talk at Basvik, don't use shock tactics to scare boys and girls on the way to the co-op. But yeah, a lot of people, yelling at them, calling them scum. But yeah, no, there were loads of people having, good, meaningful conversation with them, and I think it was pretty good. I'm still pro-choice, though. But yeah, I thought I'd put this on YouTube. I don't know why I decided to film them. I think it was just because they were filming everybody with their GoPros, and I wanted to counter-film them. I don't know. But I've got about half an hour of footage that I'm just going to dump here, in case anybody missed missed it and wanted to see what it was like, or wanted to see what the vibe was like. But yeah, enjoy the video. I'll try and subtitle the bits that were really buzzed out by the hedge trimmers and stuff like that. Enjoy.
Help people who've chosen to keep their babies, especially from this clinic. We've seen babies born and been able to assist them. Though actually, a lot of the couples we meet, once they've kind of got past the stage where they realise they want to keep their baby, they're not wanting to be in contact with us a lot, because obviously it reminds them a lot that they went into the clinic.
But they went into that stage, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, though we can offer it, they don't necessarily want it.
Does this not concern you that there are going to be women out there who are concerned, given the current state our government is in? We're a very austerity-based government. We're very financially restrictive. Does this not make you concerned for the mental welfare of the women who are having abortions because they don't have the financial ability or the financial mobility to care for their newborn child?
I think it's a strange thing to suggest that we should kill people because they don't have enough money to exist, because there are plenty of people already born who don't have a lot of money to live on, or maybe none, they're on the streets. But we would never suggest killing the homeless, for instance, because they don't have any money.
But it's different.
But we do it to the freeborn. We say, oh, well, they're
well,
not
yes,
the
but it's
ones.
about
So
appreciation of life, isn't it? I would hold that a homeless person has a different and a superior appreciation of life to an unborn child. A fetus is what I would refer to it as.
What about a 3-week-old or a 2-day-old or a 1-hour-old would have a different appreciation of life than I I do, but I wouldn't say that gives me the right to kill that preborn child.
Okay, so let's move on to what's the end goal for you here? Do you want to make abortion illegal?
Our branch isn't actually a political branch. We're not trying to change the law. We're trying to change public opinion, because any person knows that politicians don't just come out of nowhere and go, I decided to change the law. It has to be based on everybody's opinion. So it's one mind at a time.
Yeah, one mind at a time. That's fair enough. But you have to have an end goal, right?
Yeah, I mean, we want to see protection for all human beings, including the preborn.
And would that be with legal protection of abortion, making it illegal?
That would be the hopeful eventual aim of what we're trying to do, but that's not actually what our organisation is.
No, but you have to consider the end goal when you start a project.
Is to protect the preborn.
Yeah. The end goal is to protect people. I can appreciate that. I could probably even empathise with you on it. But if the end goal is to do that, you have to take legal action and legislative action to bring that about, right?
But we're not at the right state.
No, but you want to bring it about, right?
Yeah.
So the question I'm posing to you is, if you make abortion illegal under you need to make it illegal under some sort of legal penalty, don't you? You need to infer some kind of cost, some kind of repercussion for doing something illegally. Otherwise, what's the point of making it illegal? Or what's the point in campaigning? So my question would be, what would your personal or otherwise, what would the punishment be?
Well, there's sort of a debate in the pro-life kind of arena of what should the punishment be. I personally, though our organisation doesn't have like a stance on it as an organisation, but personally I believe the punishment should be incurred on the abortionist who performs the abortions illegally.
Right.
Not the woman who is, I would say, in almost every case, a victim to her circumstances, or a victim to the lies of others, or the persuasion of others, or the neglect of others, and ends up in the
But what about, what happens then if someone makes a kit, which do exist right now, a hormonal treatment kit that you can get quite cheaply, which you do get quite cheaply on the NHS, on similar clinics and stuff. What happens when somebody creates a kit, which they no doubt would do if your scenario comes into play? If someone creates a kit where you destroy your own unborn fetus via means of your own hormonal treatment, you are then the abortionist, aren't you?
So under the same circumstances of me saying that I would incur the punishment on the abortionist, those providing the kits in the first place are providing a legal service.
Yeah, okay, that's fair enough.
So that's just my personal position. Obviously, some people do believe that the women who decide to have the abortion, if it is illegal, should receive the punishment, but that's not how I personally feel.
Which, given the fact that you agree that some women would have abortions out of financial jeopardy,
I'd say
would be a rich tax. It would be. Yeah, so it would be a tax on being poor. It would be a punishment for being poor, wouldn't it?
What you're saying is this is a punishment for being poor. So we should be able to kill preborn children because they don't have enough money to live. Instead of saying, actually, as a society, we should divert the money that millions of pounds go into aborting babies every year, divert that into social services or helping people in poverty.
I'd agree that we need more money in social services. Like, my dad's a social worker, so I'm like, we know the austerity and the stuff that occurs. But I don't think the solution would be to be bringing more children into the world. Surely the solution would be to, for example, reduce military spending and pour that into social services as opposed to...
I mean, I'm not a politician, so I'm not in a place to make decisions about where money should be diverted into who.
Well, yeah, but if you're in the position where you're comfortable showing borderline gore imagery, for shock value...
Borderline what imagery, sorry?
Gore imagery.
Okay.
Yeah, and shock value and stuff like that, then you've also got to be in a position to propose something better, right?
Yeah, life for these preborn children.
Yeah. But when does your organisation? I know you've already said that you're the educational branch, that you're the part that tries to change public opinion. But you obviously have some correspondence with the after birth branch of your organisation if it exists, right?
There isn't a lot in the pro-life arena of sort of organisations who provide for people post. But in America, there's super good at this. But actually, it comes from individuals. In our circumstances, if we find that there's a couple who change their mind and they think they need furniture or they need an apartment or whatever, we just put the word out to those who are sympathetic to our cause.
But they need the furniture,
and
whatever.
we need all this stuff. Please bring it in, and we'll just.
Yeah, but surely you'd want. Surely, if your end goal is infrastructure, so legal infrastructure to prohibit abortions, to prohibit the means of abortion, surely you should be fighting for legal infrastructure. Alongside this, you should be fighting for the legal infrastructure. Better provision for mothers and fathers. Shouldn't that be the priority?
That will come, but at the moment we're in such a state where probably over 90% of the students we meet today will call us scum and say that this is an excellent choice for women, and we're the ones who are horrendous for showing them the decision that they say is so admirable. we should be disappearing because this is so horrible to look at. Let us just go on with this in peace and not have to look at it. But actually, if women want to make this choice, they need full informed consent. They will not receive these pictures inside that clinic.
No, I agree with that we need better education, but...
So here we are, educating. I mean, we'd happily do it inside colleges in a debate format. We'd happily go into schools. I mean, some schools do let us in to do like an RE session about the moral...
Yeah, I think one of the problems you'll come across is approaching it through the idea of religion, because there are deep connections and deep ties, especially with my generation, between the idea of religion and the idea of cultural oppression and very literacy conservative values. So
this looks like cultural oppression to me, don't you? Like the killing of our preborn children? Looks like
I wouldn't call it that, because I would say that I wouldn't call it cultural oppression, because
it's more like genocide.
I wouldn't say it's genocide
the
either.
systematic destruction of a specific type of person.
No.
And it's
because it has to be... No, I wouldn't call it genocide either.
Have a look at the definition of genocide and see.
Give me one.
That's what I just did. The systematic destruction of a specific people group. I mean, in the definition.
But this is not
like due to race, gender, nationality,
or
age.
unborn status.
I mean, at the moment, age is a big one. Like, for instance, we have assisted dying and that kind of thing. It's a different end of it, because sometimes it is that person's choice.
Do you mind if I film your face?
No, that's fine.
Can I put it online as well?
If you want to, yeah. So we're Abort67 if you want to.
Yeah, I'll link you or whatever.
But in this case, this is ageism at its most deadly. We're saying the most young and vulnerable of our society don't deserve life because of their parents' financial status, or that they're in school and they're being threatened to be kicked out of their home. Those things are crises that need to be dealt with, because those crises still exist.
And you're saying that the only way we can bring about the resolution to that crisis is to ensure that abortion isn't a viable issue, isn't a viable...
At this state in our society, I think for each individual woman, she can make a better choice for her own life if she's given all the information. I mean, we've said to Anne Farady, who is the chief executive of BPAS.
I know who that is, actually.
Yeah. So we've said to her in person as well that we would happily go away from the streets, we'd disappear from outside her clinic if she would agree to show the reality of abortion.
Yeah.
And she's doing her consultations. But she's obviously not taken us up on that offer. Why do you think she hasn't taken us up on that offer?
I would say because people are very emotional. We're emotional beings, and we understand how pain works. And when you see something like that resembles a human, which I wouldn't classify, I wouldn't classify as a human yet. But when you see something that resembles like that, it would obviously promote very instinctively negative emotions and feelings of fear and sadness and anger. Which is, I get that it's beneficial to the abortion agenda, if you want to say it like that.
They hide the reality.
That they hide the reality, yeah. But the issue I would predominantly take with it is about what legal precedent it would set. So I'm a libertarian, thereabouts. I believe that there are, as I said at the beginning, I believe that there should be inalienable rights, and I feel like if you set a precedent that the state decides what you can and cannot do with your body, then it's worrying what could go on from that.
That kind of goes into our biological argument. To start with, I'd just like to ask you, what is the most important right out of all the inalienable rights that you can give to a human? What's the most important?
You want me to say freedom of life, don't you? Right to life.
We all have that, don't we?
Wow, do we?
Unless you're a preborn child and at the mercy of your parents.
Come help me out, guys.
Come and join in.
Yeah.
So the biological argument would be like me asking you when human life begins. We've all done, I know I did biology up to year 9, so I'm sure you all did the same thing.
Yeah.
Or even further. When does it say that... Oh, so you would know exactly when human life begins, scientifically speaking.
Would you tell me?
Well...
I mean, opening any biology textbook, and I can tell you because I've done it, gone to the library, and you go, when does human life begin? And there doesn't seem to be any debate going on. Human life begins at conception or fertilisation, whichever kind of term you want to.
Well, what does that mean? You mean human
When
life?
the sperm meets the egg.
Yeah, no, I know what fertilisation is.
So when fertilisation takes place, a new human being has come into being with its own individual DNA, separate to the mothers and fathers, and its own trajectory to develop its own human body.
A cell.
But surely you would...
Isn't a human.
It is an individual human being. It's just at that stage of development.
A collection of cells is not.
It isn't, for instance, if I took a bunch of skin cells off my hand and put them down on a table and went, that's a human being. It clearly is not. But the entirety of that human being in that zygote is the entire person.
Can I propose...
That's a theological and ideological idea.
No, that is
not
science. That is science.
But in the same regard, if it's about the idea of potential of a human being, a potential of a life,
Right.
what is the difference then between 2 minutes after they've met and 2 minutes before they've met?
As in the difference between those cells?
Yes, because they've still got the same
Okay.
trajectory up until the point where they meet or do not meet.
Well, the egg cell on its own is no, because the egg cell and the sperm cell are just to have that single purpose, but without them uniting together, they are only ever going to be those two separate things. As soon as they meet, they become a whole human being.
Okay.
That's how biology works.
Can I give you like an anecdotal question here?
Yeah.
If I was holding in one hand a newborn baby, you've probably heard this, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so if I was holding in one hand a newborn baby and in one hand and in the other hand
A petri dish full
a
of
petri
embryos.
cyst full of embryos, and I drop both at the same time, what do you do? Like obviously.
So let me change the question slightly, but it's the
Which
same
would you
principle. If you
prioritise?
had my baby in that hand and the
Okay.
dish of embryos, who am I going to catch? Obviously my baby, because I have a personal connection to that. Just like if, for instance, this house was on fire and there's a petri dish of embryos and my daughter in that bedroom, I'm not going to run and save the petri dish because I'm
But these aren't your children.
But if I'm just saying,
None of these were yours, unless
No.
of course you were involved with the photo shoot. But like,
But our intention to save one person over another hasn't anything to do with their values specifically and what they are. It doesn't mean they're not human because I didn't save them. It means that I have a personal or family relation or an interest in that individual, so I chose to save them. It doesn't make the other person not a human being or not valuable because I
Yeah.
didn't save them.
yeah, but you know,
So it
the
doesn't
question
really-
the
it
question
doesn't
is
prove your
more.
point. It doesn't say, oh, there you go, they're not obviously human or valuable because you didn't save that petri dish full of embryos because you saved that people baby. It doesn't really.
Well, no, the
give
question
answer.
the question I'm trying to ask is, if you treat all unborn life is whether you treat all unborn life as the same as.
They have as much value.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
That's
I
what I was
would
trying
say.
to
Yes, all
establish.
human beings, I would say, have equal value.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter about how old they are or how developed they are. I don't think that newborn babies are less valuable than a teenager because they are underdeveloped. Just like I don't think that baby is less valuable than a newborn.
Okay. What about are you an absolutist then? Is it absolute that
Give me an example where that would all fall apart.
rape?
Rape. So
The rape example.
I've changed my answer to the rape question loads of times over
Yeah.
the time because we're given kind of like a linear argument that works in all situations. But then I met a rape victim outside this clinic across the road here, and she came out of a taxi, effing and blinding at us, screaming, "You've never been raped!" La la la, and off she went into the clinic. I turned to my colleague and I said, "Oh gosh, that poor woman." Turned back and she was back again, and she was hugging my colleague who's just standing over there, who's holding a board that says, "I've had an abortion. Ask you about it."
Yeah.
And she was just sobbing. She said, "I don't want to go through with this again, but I don't know what else to do." So she went on into the clinic, had her consultation. She'd been raped on Christmas Eve. She had a previous abortion. It led her to a heroin addiction. She was in a complete mess, hopeless lady. And she came out later, met another volunteer, and she said, "I hate you," and she slapped him around the face. She came out another 20 minutes later and said, "I can't do it. I'm not going through with this again."
As
She
is
told-
the emotional turmoil
she
of such
decided,
an attack.
so she decided to keep her baby because she felt that she could overcome the trauma of rape, her personal experience of rape, but she didn't overcome the emotional trauma and the physical trauma of abortion. So her baby then was adopted by a family member who lives up north and is 4 years old now. Her name's Chelsea, and she lives and her mother lives. She says, "If I'd had another abortion, I would have killed myself because of the abortion or the rape. Then another abortion, it just would have turned me to pieces." But each person's individual experience with rape is different. I stood outside Varndine College with these same pictures, and everyone's going, "What about rape? That mother has a right to kill that baby. That baby's going to remind her of her rape every day." And this girl turned to me and she went, "My friends don't know this, but I was conceived in rape, and they all seem to think that it should be okay for me to be killed."
But it's not that it should be okay. That should be a choice. If you're raped, you should have a choice of whether you keep that baby or whether you don't have.
So what if your friend
here
here was conceived in rape? So your mother should have the choice to tear you to pieces because of the state of your conception.
Yeah. I'd much rather not exist than have my mum, keep me and go through some kind of dramatic stress because of it. Because I wouldn't have been aware of my existence before I was born, would I?
I mean, again, with the anecdotal kind of evidence, because obviously everyone's individual rape experience is different and it's a different trauma for everybody.
Yeah.
But there have been a few studies of groups of women who had a rape experience and then aborted their baby and had a rape experience and then kept their baby. And of the women who aborted, a high percentage in both studies said that they wish they hadn't, that it didn't actually help them recover from the rape, it impounded the trauma because again, it's in the same area as the rape happening itself and you're being operated on by doctors in the same kind of space, and it is traumatic, and there is a lot of aftermath from that procedure physically that you have to deal with. Whereas the women who kept their babies, almost all of them said they are really glad they did. Some gave them up for adoption, some kept them. But again, that's their anecdotal personal stories, and we can't really comment on that. But no matter what the circumstances of someone's conception, they're all innocent human living beings with their own DNA and their own life. But for some reason we think
that's the thing. I think it comes down to what you prioritize, and I think surely it's about providing that option, providing that outlet, because it will always happen. Abortion has been illegal in civil society for a majority of abortion's been illegal in most of civil society, and there has been absolutely no difference in abortion rates, right? So women are always going to get abortions unless you physically restrain them from doing so. Women are always going to go through with these procedures, whether they're legal or otherwise. If you look at any society where abortion's been illegal, there's actually been the same, if not, like, there's always been the same abortion figures. There's always been the same percentages. Yes, there have.
Well, we've just been working a lot in Ireland, because obviously they're trying to amend the amendments to allow abortion in Ireland. So we've sent teams across the country, actually led a team following the abortion bus who was distributing illegal abortion pills to university students, while the police stood by and just kind of...
Good on them.
Okay.
Well, yeah, it's a difference we have, but yeah, I don't know.
So when you look at the Department of Health and their figures about abortion and what they release, the abortion figures in Ireland are much lower, obviously, because they fly to the UK or other European surrounding nations to go and obtain their abortions.
Yeah.
But when you speak to the people of Ireland, the actual kind of
democratic consensus.
The democratic consensus is that abortion is not a good thing. It doesn't benefit society.
Yeah, but I'm in England.
Right, but you're saying that actually no matter where it is, legal or illegal, it's all the same. And I'm saying no, that's not the case, because actually there's a pro-life feeling in Ireland, whereas there's a big pro-abortion feeling in the UK.
No,
so
what I'm saying is that I hold the moral position that abortion is okay, and I'm an absolutist that a woman should always have, sovereignty over her own body. But I'm part of a democracy, and if democratically speaking, fairly democratically speaking, the democratic consensus was against abortion, as hateful as I would be of that, I would accept that. So if you did a referendum tomorrow in Ireland and it turned out that the majority of people were against abortion, I would have no qualm with that. I'm just saying the moral position that I resign myself to.
People should be able to do what they want with their own bodies. But as we've already said, this is an individual body with separate DNA to the mother and father. It's a unique individual that resides within the mother's body.
It's physically codependent upon the mother.
Just like a newborn is completely dependent on their mother. Without their mother, they would die. I'm sure you can agree with that. If you left a newborn baby on the table and said, now you're independent, and walked away, they would die very quickly.
Yes, but we're designed like that. We're designed to
be completely dependent on our parents. Exactly. We are designed to be like that. But just for instance, when your mother was pregnant with you, she didn't suddenly develop testicles because she had testicles within her body. They were yours. They belonged to you, not her. It was a separate individual body. Like my mother didn't have 8 pairs of arms because I have a twin sister. She didn't just develop all these extra limbs. They weren't hers. They were mine. They were my sister's. They were a separate body. Yes, they do reside within the mother. That's exactly where you're meant to be at that stage.
I still do feel to encompass and protect from exploitation of that, to encompass and protect from those barriers being infringed upon more, you should prioritise the mother's convenience over the life of the baby, the life of the fetus.
In what ways?
So, if you create a society wherein it is impossible to get an abortion, haven't you then created a society where you value the baby's life more so, well, just as much so as the mother's? I feel like you need to value the mother more.
Extra liberty over men, that they're allowed to kill children in order for their convenience, but men can't kill their children for their convenience. That's not equal. Should it be that men should also have the right to kill their born children because they don't have the opportunity to kill preborn children in their own way for their convenience, because that's prioritising children over adults, and that's just not right. Should we continue that linear kind of logic and say, let's
I don't think it is linear though. I think you can draw a difference. So obviously there needs to be a cut-off point, and I'll be honest with you, I don't know what that is.
In the UK, abortion is legal up to 24 weeks, so that's about 6 months into pregnancy.
So of these
but it's up to birth for disability.
Of the
you can kill
babies,
a disabled child up to birth.
Okay. Of the babies on the board, which of those, how far in are each of them?
So the first week is 7 weeks living embryo in the womb. This is using embryoscopy, a camera inside the womb. This has been enforced, but it's quite sort of fuzzy in the womb. 8-week embryo, aborted. So around that kind of first 2 stages, that's when most people will realise they're pregnant. So they miss a period, they have a test, and maybe 5-6 weeks they go into the clinic, they get an abortion. 8 weeks, that's the medical abortion. Then it moves on to 10 weeks, that's a surgical abortion. 11 weeks, still not even the first baby you see on your first scan, but about the length of my palm. I someone around who's got a model. 11 weeks is just before that scan, but I've got more pictures in here if you don't mind seeing them.
No,
No?
yeah, I'm
Okay. So 15 weeks, this is when we're kind of hitting like the gender selection stage, and also the new test for Down syndrome. This kind of age group would be the ones being aborted more often. And then 22 weeks, this isn't even at the complete upper limit. This is a baby girl who was aborted for whatever reason. You could go on another 2 weeks, and then up to birth for things like Down syndrome, cleft lip, clubfoot, anything like that. So there's your limit.
You just mentioned about the images, Tim. What's your view on having such? I mean, and I hope you'll agree with me, they're horrifically violent images and graphic and everything for shock value.
Well,
I mean,
we can't.
I mean, they're huge, and you're putting them right outside a clinic.
have about-
They're to shock people.
We have
They
about
can't
3
deny
seconds to
that.
get anyone's attention before they move on in their car.
Yeah, so you do
they
that
have to
by-
be bigger. So I mean, if I was trying to show you this tiny little,
Yeah, fine. But they're bigger and also graphically
Well,
violent.
we can't make them any graphically
Yes, no.
graphically violent,
I know,
and they
but
are
do you-
naturally. This is the evidence that abortion is graphic and violent.
So, I'm not saying you shouldn't have your views and opinions and do that politically, but surely this is increasing the trauma for women who, particularly women who've been raped, who have had violent conceptions. Surely this just increases their trauma of going to a clinic. Doesn't that?
Before they go in.
Yeah, I mean, if I was going for abortion, I was coming out here and I saw you guys, that would not make me feel safe or supported. It will make me feel attacked.
What we're trying to do is provide the information that they're lacking from inside the clinic,
Okay,
and I
you-
believe women are
surely you
strong
can
enough and
provide that
capable
without
enough to receive this
shocking
information.
people like this.
Well, there's no other way to make these look nicer than they actually are naturally. These are just images of the end of an abortion procedure. They have to lay out every body at the end, every individual's body, to make sure they haven't left anything behind. So we just usually take these images at the end of the way.
Hey guys, it's almost as if they're cutting the hedges at the exact same time so that no one can hear them talk. How convenient. Wowee. That's ridiculous.
We're not trying to shock people, we're trying to educate them. And yes, the reality of abortion is shocking, I won't deny it. The first time I saw it, I changed my mind about abortion because I didn't realise that's what it was.
I don't think something as abstract as life and when consciousness begins can be summed up in a red square.
I'm not trying to say that consciousness is the defining factor for when people become valuable. Because I think unconscious people are still valuable. I wouldn't kill an unconscious man or an unconscious woman. Just because I'd been knocked out or was asleep or was in a vegetative state doesn't mean I can drive a knife through anyone's heart just because of that. I don't think that's the defining factor whether it's right or wrong to kill somebody. Do you?
To a degree, yes. Yes, I do.
So you'd be happy to kill someone who is unconscious?
Well, there are people that are unconscious for a great deal of time that ultimately aren't going to become conscious, and I think it is justified to not support a life that can support itself.
Say that again, sorry.
I disagree with that.
I mean, that's fine.
A newborn baby is not self-conscious till about 2 weeks after birth. So they can see their own hands and feet,
No, just talking.
but they don't know that they belong to themselves. So can we kill preborn children before their 3rd week of life outside?
Yeah. I've got permission. No, I haven't done you.
I have been for 11 years and tampered with veganism as well. Whatever, but what was the question?
What about animal like a pig? Which is scientifically proven to be self-conscious.
It's such a fucking tease.
To be self-conscious, they can recognise themselves in the mirror and the same level as a 3-year-old child.
I really wanted to just skewer the poster.
Yeah, can we just cut it up?
I would take you up on that, but you don't. So.
Is it, but the thing is that it's already been done once. Think of a new thing to say. But the vegans who come up to me and go, "Are you a vegan?" Even if I told them and go, "No," they go, "It's wrong to kill animals and eat them, but it's right to do this." That doesn't even measure up, does it? They're saying animal life has so much value that we shouldn't kill it and eat it, but human value has so little that we should be able to kill it for any reason.
I'm not a vegetarian.
It doesn't really stand up anyway.
No, but the argument would be that, I mean, so if you have someone who eats meat but also is pro-life, then...
There are plenty of those people.
Yeah, exactly.
But there's
So the
also,
argument then be
we've got some very
so
nice
you're-
vegan
yeah.
atheists on our team as well.
You're going to fit in very well at Baswick.
Pardon?
You're going to fit in very well at Baswick, the vegan atheist squad.
I mean, Brighton is a tricky spot. It's a really liberal city, and I think that it's. Sorry, go on. Sorry.
So say it's
A woman have an opinion.
okay. Say I was raped 11 weeks ago, and I'm planning to go and have an abortion like there this afternoon. What would you say to me?
To receive all the information that you can about abortion before you go and listen to what the clinics that will make money off of it.
But that's
have to say about it, and also ask you what can we do to help you.
Okay, do you think I should be in a state where there is no option of abortion?
What do you mean, sorry?
Yes.
So do you think I should be in a state
Where there is no legal abortion
there's no
allowed.
legal abortion? If I'm raped, I cannot go and get an abortion.
Our eventual hope is that society will change their mind about abortion to a point where it's unthinkable. That's what our banner says, to make abortion unthinkable. So that actually when you are raped, you don't think, I need to go and get an abortion. So you say...
So when you're raped, you wouldn't want a reminder every single day of your life.
So we've kind of come in a bit where we've already done
You
that.
have to look after a baby that was conceived by a person who
I'd
was
already
raped.
told a story about an experience where I'd met
I'm wondering whether your position is abortion should be illegal in all states.
Because, I'll tell you what, because a life is produced at conception, new DNA is created. That is not helping anyone. Do you want to step away then? Because it's going to be bad for your film, huh?
No, it's alright. I'm more focused on actually.
No, that's fine. Yeah, no, keep on saying it. DNA, new DNA, not the mother's on fire.
Everything. Try and get everything. No, that way, mate.
It's life. Like I understand that it is life and it's conception, but you can't put your views on someone else and say that they're wrong.
I think we're just discussing what's true. The other thing is that you're kind of mistaking the law from morality, because the law changes all the time to try and meet morality. So
Morality is subjective.
well, that's an opinion. If it's subjective, then there should be a law, because the law should just be for you and the law should just be for me separately.
Yeah,
We're talking about okay, 2 seconds. But what we're saying is that
morality is subjective. If I could be, a fundamentalist, religious extremist, and I believe that gay people should all be killed.
Okay.
Morally, I believe that's correct. That's my.
Okay.
I mean, but for you, I presume. I hope that's not correct.
I'm listening.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what I mean by morality is subjective.
And the existence of law is communal morality. That is that.
Sure.
So
intention of existence.
exactly. So what I'm saying.
Just don't talk to them. Walk away.
No, it's interesting.
No, well, dude, you're not really helping, are you? But,
And if you ain't got the attention, you're not going to talk, are you?
well, the images are still talk. So look, the existence of law, we agree, is a communal morality, which is important. There's no doubt about it. Yeah?
Sure.
So we're talking about what should be in the law, in the communal morality, to protect people. So in the instance, what you were talking about is, look, we're talking about that situation with rape, weren't we? We're talking about what should be in the law, what should be protecting people, and the law doesn't necessarily say what's right, because it's been changed all the time, as well as people's opinions of what those 24 weeks should be. Should it be 24 weeks? Should it be not at all? Should it be straight after birth? Yeah. So we've decided a day where we say this is okay now, based on a few things. Yeah? But we can change that around. So what we're talking about is where should it be? Because the law will follow morality where
It's just
people.
fine where it is. But actually, to be fair, I know someone who is pregnant and she didn't show until she was about 6 months. So if she didn't want that baby, like it was like too far.
But the baby is still growing inside him. I recognise that. So what I'm saying, this is my opinion, and we're putting forward. This is just truth. But my opinion is that conception produces DNA, which is separate to the mother and the father, therefore a different human being by scientific definition. Based upon those evidences.
Would you?
So therefore, at that point, you're a new person, and you just need to
I don't think that just because you're a new person, it means that it's like murder. Like, there's no like correlation. It's not cause and effect. It's just
So the definition of if you like, murder is to kill a human life.